What's good, Eagles fans? What's good? This is your guy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports Philly, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. As you guys can already see, I got the lofty veteran in the building. Y'all already know how we get down. He go by LB sometimes. Every now and again, he go by the bully. You know what I mean? We got my man Lord Brunson in the building, one of the
My
most
God, Tone.
well-known Eagles content creators out here killing it, putting in that work, spitting that hot fire. Y'all know what it is when it comes to lunchtime with the bullies. I'm always
Yes, sir.
tuned in. I'm
Yes, sir.
always locked in. So my man LB, first and foremost, super grateful to you for coming on to the channel, my man. Couldn't be more honored, couldn't be more grateful for you to grace the platform with your presence. First and foremost, like how you feeling, my man? How's everything?
Everything's good, man. I can't complain, man. You know what I mean? Just getting ready for this playoff run, getting ready for the holidays. Just staying in the mix, man. But yo, I appreciate you, man. I see your growth, man. Thank you for reaching out. It was always a pleasure rocking out with you. You know the vibes, man. Listen, man, let's talk about it, man. Cause I'm in a
Sure.
good mood. I'm in a
You
good
know,
mood, Tom.
likewise, man. Like it's late. My wifey gave me the green light to do content today. I'm in a great mood. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So let's just hop right into it because we was talking off air. Like this has been one of the more interesting seasons that we've experienced. Maybe since the Super Bowl, and we called it a tale of two seasons or a tale of two halves or whatever you may call it. But right now the Eagles are 7-7, they 500, and the record is like the perfect indication of how this season has went. We won some and we lost some, but we
Facts.
lived. We lived to fight another day. So let's just first of all recap this most recent victory against the Washington football team. You know, like they were undermanned, but at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer of listen, if you got that jersey or if you got a number, if you get a check, you're a professional to me. So the way I see it, you better bring your A game, bring your best, just like we brought our A game, we brought our best, man. So overall, it was so many things to take from that game. It was Jalen Hurts' comeback game off the ankle injury. It was the comeback game off of the whole Gardner Minshew mania debacle. You know what I mean? We came off a bye, and then on top of that, the game got postponed from Sunday and pushed back to Tuesday, which kind of threw a monkey wrench in players' routines and things of that nature. So overall, what was your thoughts about that victory and just how things went?
Well, so first off, I was there live, and to keep it a
Yes,
hundred in the
facts.
beginning of the game, Tone, I was nervous, man. I was nervous, man, because I'm like, yo, I'm just like, either we got bad luck, the odds just not in our favor, but I've never seen an interception hit the back of somebody's heel, it pop up and they catch it. Usually they don't even let the dude run it in. It was so close to looking like an incomplete. You just blow the whistle. Like
Right.
I don't know how they saw that, and I was like, oh man, already down 7-0. Then people in the crowd, well, then the next drive, you got Jalen Hurts. Well, whatever drive that was after that, he fumbles the ball. So I'm sitting in a section that was extremely pro Minshew. It started from there. After he fumbled, we want Minshew. I'm like, damn. And then on top of that, I'm gonna give you my perspective, the whole thing about the game. Then on top of that, every time Jalen Rager breathes, the place is showering with booze. Then you got Dallas Goddard who drops another pass on like a 3rd and 1. So at this point, Washington got the ball and they up 10. And TJ Edwards stick his paw in there, close that drive down. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it just started turning around from there, man. I think, as far as Jalen Hurts goes, I saw a lot of characteristics in him. I saw some characteristics in Nick Sirianni as well that indicate that those two dudes are growing together. Because
Mm.
after Jalen Hurts got the ball back, you know what I'm saying? Being down 10 after TJ Edwards, it's like he was just a changed dude, man. I saw him throwing people open. I saw him throwing with angles. You know what I mean? I'm sitting, so say the team is marching this way. I'm at that end zone, the end zone that they're coming towards. And
Yeah.
I'm seeing them throw the ball and I'm calling it in the air. I'm like, yo, that's an interception, bro. Because I don't even see nobody that he could be throwing it to. And then literally a wide receiver just comes into the frame during his route. Like he's literally throwing dudes over. I'm like, yo, this is just amazing passing. You see Sirianni's play calling, and then I just felt like they didn't have enough to compete with us anyway. We spotted them 10, still came back and won. I would have liked the more, I wanted to blow them out, honestly. I want that every week, but this is football. It was just a great, great win. It just showed that Jalen Hurts won't be rattled if another quarterback steps in and does his job. You know what I mean? It shows that, the offensive line is the best offensive line going into the playoffs if we can get in. This game also showed, that, Philly fans will support you as long as you're doing the right thing. Because after that, it was no more booze. You know what I mean? So everything was smooth after that.
No, you're right. I'm not gonna lie to you because I remember you saying I remember you had a live. You was in the city. You know what I'm saying? You touched down back home. You know what I'm saying? And it was just one of those things. Like the energy, like throughout the day, was just. I'm gonna be honest. For me, the energy was a little bit uneasy because Jalen Hurts was coming. Jalen Hurts was coming back. Coming back to the field. Coming off the injury. We're coming off the Minshew mania. It's a division game. Jalen Hurts. He at that point in time, he had won no division games in his career. And there was just, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I was uneasy. I was confident that we can get the win, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it wasn't going to be without his hiccups. So like you, that first quarter, man, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, yo, this man better lose his job. This man better lose his job in a matter of a quarter. Like, this is ridiculous. Right. You know what I'm saying? But like you brought up, like the defense came alive, and the defense, honestly, if you really want to look at it in totality, in my opinion, the defense really only had one bad drive, and that was when they gave up the 7 points in the early in the fourth quarter. Other than that, the defense really, all they could really do was respond to the turnovers. And the first time they gave them a touchdown, and the second time they limited them to 3 points. So defense can only do but so much with a short field. You know what I'm saying? You give any offense, regardless of the quarterback, regardless of the personnel, you get them a short field, they're gonna put some points on the board. So it was only so much defense could really do. But other than that, defense came out to play. Defense held them to only 17 points. On top of that, we held them to under 70 yards rushing. Defense been tightening up, especially in the run defense game, because that was something that we was nervous about in the preseason. We was nervous about that early in the season. It just seemed like it wasn't going to get better. But Jalen Hurts in particular, my man went 20 for 26, 296 yards, averaged a little over 11 yards an attempt. A passing touchdown, 38 rushing yards, almost 5 yards an attempt, rushing the ball, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Had that one fluky interception that we talked about. He fumbled the ball. And you brought up something real interesting, right? You brought up the fact that him and Nick Sirianni, the chemistry is really starting to blossom. No pun intended on Nick Sirianni flower press conferences, but you really see the chemistry blossoming because when he fumbled that ball and he walked to that sideline, Nick Sirianni got right with him. And you saw the passion in his eyes. You saw the passion in the way he curled his lip, like the way he was just like looking at him, talking to him. And all Jalen Hurts could do was just walk away. But at the same time, he took what he said and took it in stride. And I like the fact that he did that. And I like the fact that the whole team heard that, because that just tells me nobody is above reproach. Nobody is above getting a firm talking to. And that just shows me a culture shift. Because it seems like in years past, there was a point in time where guys the coaching staff didn't want to go after certain guys because they were either veterans or they were a part of the Super Bowl team and so on and so forth. But Jalen Hurts responded, and not many players respond well to that kind of criticism. It was beautiful to see.
I like how they both handled it though, because you don't want a coach you don't want a guy that's the type of guy that like to talk to guys behind doors. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you don't want a guy as a quarterback who's going to go back and forth with the coach. They both handled it beautifully. Sirianni did what he's supposed to do, and Hurts did what he's supposed to do. It's nothing to say you're not playing good. Go to the bench and correct it. You know what I'm saying? And that's trust. That's two guys who are on the same page. It's a lot you could take from, a situation like that. And then, I want to give the offense a little credit. Well, offense probably should get a lot of credit, man, the way that they performed. But I want to give them a little more credit, too, because when Jalen Hurts fumbled the ball, we saw a guy who we label as, one of those guys who need to put in more effort, like Jalen Reagor, save it from being a touchdown.
Yeah, definitely.
Save it from being a touchdown with that strip sack. And, they only got 3 out of that drive. So everybody was on the same page. The offense, even when they screwed up, Dallas drops a pass, then comes back and, moss 2 dudes. Everybody is like, look, if I mess up, you got to keep going to me. And that's been the theme of this season to me, man, in its totality. We ain't been perfect, but we're going to stick with our guys so they could get better. And you're seeing development from so many people. You know what I mean? It's rapid development, man, rapid trust being built, because we're not one of those teams that's going to just switch people out when the going gets tough. No, we was bad with this group. We made some changes, and look at us, the best running offense in the National Football League. With a quarterback, listen, it's not a lot of people that's going to beat you If you could run the ball like we can run it, and your quarterback is going 20 for 26, that's how you blow people out. There's not a lot of teams, and if we didn't have those hiccups, this would have been a body early. You know what I mean? We were on fire, minus a few mistakes, but it is what it is, man. I expect, what Nick Sirianni expects out of Jalen Hurts, and that's greatness. So I understood why he talks to him like that. Because he expects something from him.
Exactly. And it's like, it's like when you're working for a company, right? And your dad owned the company or your uncle or whatever it may be. And it's like, no, treat me like the rest of the other employees. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't treat me, don't take me out to lunch. Hey, we all going out to lunch. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, and listen, if we all got to stay late, or if they got to stay late, we all got to stay late. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want no special treatment. And that was one of the dopest things, man, because it really exposed that, like, I don't want to say exposed, but it really shined the light on the growth, like you said, the trust, knowing that I got your back, you got my back, knowing that I'm not going to go at you if it's not warranted. And in the press conferences, Jalen Hurts said it. He said, "Look, I'm a coach's kid. Like I'm used to being addressed a certain way. So if you can, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but if you can address me that certain way, then maybe you can't coach me." And
exactly.
That just showed me that Nick is buying into what Jalen Hurts does as well. Like you said, he believes in him. He sees the upside of him.
Mm-hmm.
He sees that, yo, if you really tighten yourself up, you can really be a dangerous weapon in this NFL. And I feel like for some reason, we're so caught up on the prototype quarterback or what the league says is supposed to be the norm. And my whole thing is, at the end of the day, the only numbers that matter at the end of the day is wins and losses. And if you're winning, and if you win and make it to the playoffs and you're competitive and teams got to respect your game, like, what difference do it make how you getting it done? At the end of the day, this is football, and football started off just being a physical run the ball from point A to point B. Now we got these new nuanced aspects of the game, throwing the ball, and guys expect you to be just this pure pocket passer. We've been spoiled by guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and you got the new age guys like Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and everybody thinks that they're supposed to be those guys. And my thing is, just like how wide receivers or running backs have different styles, or linebackers, whatever it may be, quarterbacks have different styles. There's more than one way to quarterback. As long as you're a leader of men and your guys trust you at the end of the day, and you can take them to the promised land, that's all that mattered to me. Like, you said something real key to me about Jalen Hurts throughout that game. Not only you mentioned him throwing guys open. Yeah. And that was something that people felt like he needed to work on, because too often he'll stare guys down, or too often he would just not necessarily he'll just put guys in compromising positions with the ball. But outside of throwing guys open, what were some of the other things you noticed in Jalen Hurts? Because you was at the game, you saw him in person. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the things you noticed in his development, just being as a pure passer? Because we know what he's going to do running the ball. He's elusive, he's electric. But what were some of the things you saw at that game with your own eyes that showed you, oh yeah, this man is trending upward?
I think he's using his escapability in different ways. We saw like a little sign of it. I can't remember what game it was. I want to say maybe 2 games ago, where he did like this little slide move where he almost baited the defense into thinking he was going to run to like physically move another dude. I call it mind control, because he's just using like a little slide move, and guys are thinking he's going to run, and he uses that space, then he throws it. I'm seeing that little slide instead of running. You know what I mean? Like, he's pivoting off to like keep the eyes of the defense, and then he's still delivering a nice pass. Like, he's using the fear that they have in his running ability to, create some pretty easy throws for himself. And I think that's, that's like, I hate to keep bringing up Russell Wilson, man, but it's the only guy that I can think of, in comparisons, man. I mean, using the tools that you got to, your advantage is just key for any smart quarterback in the National Football League. And I also saw some good touch. I saw him actually overthrow somebody. He overthrew Dante Smith. I was like, golly.
He did.
I'm like, okay, something felt different. You know what I mean? I just felt overall development. You know what I mean? And, that little slot technique definitely got to be one, man. We got to start keeping an eye out for that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you saw it when he delivered that ball to Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert went in for a crossing route. Mm-hmm. And Devontae Smith, he ran a slant. It was meant to be a pick route so Jordan Howard could get open in the flat. Yeah, but he dropped back in the pocket. He could have easily hit Jordan Howard in the flat, but he dropped back and he did that slide move. He pushed off the right foot, slid over with his left, got back squared up and delivered it.
Yeah, that's
And
footwork, man.
that's
That's a lot
drill.
of
Yeah,
things in
that's that
one.
drill work. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of things in one.
for sure, for sure. So, you know, like Jalen Hurts, people continue to, hold this man to this strange standard, and they continue to believe that he's supposed to be significantly further along than what he is now. My thing is, you have to take everything into consideration. You have to take everything into account. The fact that the team, the organization, that didn't necessarily put him in the most optimal position earlier on in the season. Those first several weeks, they kind of had him out there trying to, gunslinging, and that's not really his style. He likes to get a little creative in the passing game.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess at this point in the season, would you say the organization is currently giving him a fair chance at development and potentially winning his job for not only next year but the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime a team can approach this and have you, weaponize your superstar ability. His superstar ability is his playmaking ability, and a lot of his playmaking comes from his legs. Anytime a team gets behind you, and the offense is built for him. It's built for him. Why do you think things change when guys like, Minshew come in? They don't fear Minshew running. So you can't
Right.
run the option to keep the edges honest. They can start sending pressure off the edge all day at a beeline. You know what I mean? So it's built for him. So I feel like, that's one key to, making me feel like, they're behind him 100%. What was the second half of your question? Because I was about to talk about, I don't know, I was about to go off on a tangent about a lot of good stuff that I saw.
Oh no, you're good. I pretty much was saying, like, do you think the organization pretty much giving him a fair shot at development, to not only win the job for next year, but also for the near future?
I mean, the only thing they really could do, honestly, is give him this whole season. You got
Right.
to critique him on a whole season under one, system. He's been under, this is his fourth system. You know what I mean? He's been in so many. If you go back to college, he was in a system at Alabama. He was a system at Oklahoma. Then you come here and get a Doug Peterson system. Then you come here and get a Sirianni system. You know what I mean? That's four systems in
Absolutely.
4 years. I want to see him in this same system again next year. I mean, he's part of the culture change. He's part of the
Absolutely.
culture change. I think, honestly, if you want to be for real, I think he already earned the opportunity to, have the job next year. You were a 4-win team last year. You're going to win at least 8 games. You're going to win another game. You know what I mean? Based upon your schedule, he basically doubled what you did last year. So, you got to give him an opportunity. I think he's earned it.
Yeah, I actually would agree with you. I feel like at this point, you can't say that this man hasn't earned this to at least fight for the job next year or be the starter next year. He continues to keep the team in games. Even when we kind of wet the bed against the New York Giants, where it took us into the fourth quarter to put us on points, he still kept his team in the game despite three interceptions and one fumble by Boston Scott. He still found a way to keep this man, or to keep this team rather, in the game. And not many quarterback. Granted, the Giants didn't really make it hard by only putting up 13 points, but.
Yeah.
But you gotta give credit where credit is due. That he, to the bitter end, he had his team in the game, and he delivered 2 passes that should have won the game. But nonetheless, that's a whole other conversation. Talking about Jalen Rager.
This, my bad. So this is another
No,
thing.
you
Though. We can't keep sneezing at 733 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. I mean, we can't keep acting like that's invisible.
Right, if he was a running back, they'd be like, "Oh snap, he balled."
right. We can't keep sneezing at that like that's invisible. You're talking about a dude who at the end of the season is going to have over 4,000 passing yards and probably over 3,000 passing yards and close to 1,000 yards rushing. He just broke Vic touchdown record. Certain things I just don't understand. Like, we know development needs to happen, but you can't sneeze on that. And then on top of that, he's a reservist for the Pro Bowl. I'm so confused behind this because I could turn on Shannon Sharp and he could be talking like the dude is dog water, and then I see a tweet. You know what I mean? I mean, his peers respect him; they fear his game. A lot of these kids actually grew up being fans of his. He was a Heisman finalist.
That's an important thing you brought up, right? His peers, right? And they play the game, so it's like if they're the ones that see it, why can't us as a fan base see the potential or see how dangerous this man could potentially be? Like, I want to get your thoughts on, because one of the things people said that one of his weaknesses was that he didn't do a well enough job of spreading the rock around, right? He always locked in on certain people and just kind of force fed them. But I think him seeing Gardner Minshew execute the offense against that Jets game was good for him, because I feel like it did him well to see this quarterback execute this offense and get the ball to everybody, especially to Dallas Goedert. And I like that carried over in this game, getting Dallas Goedert involved. And my man Dallas Goedert had 7 receptions, 135 yards, averaging almost 20 yards of reception. Now he did have 2 drops. One of those probably would have been a touchdown. And you can make an argument that if he catch both of those, if he catch that out route, and if he also catches that screen, that man would have eclipsed 200 yards receiving.
No, it was nothing but green grass in the front of that out route.
Oh yeah, you was there. How did that look? Like,
yo, it was so crazy to me, yo, because I'm screaming for him to run. That's a 3rd and 1. It was a 3rd and 1, mind you, right? I remember it like it was almost yesterday. You know what I mean? It was a 3rd and 1, and I'm like, they got to be running this. But then when he dropped back, and I saw Dallas Goedert had that position, I'm like, oh, this is about to be like a 40-yard gain at least. He's going to be able to turn this corner and break out. But the drop itself, the ball hit him right in the hands, like square in the hands.
Twice. Both of them right in his hands.
Honestly, I can't really call it a drop. I think it's a drop technically, but he wasn't focused because they're taught to catch the ball and tuck it, which is why the ball flew down to his, the back of his heel because he tried to catch and tuck it, but the ball just squirted out. So yeah, it's still a drop either way, but very, very unfortunate for it to be an interception, man. The whole stadium, like the air was out. It was dead silence. Silence. Like, you really dropped that?
But like you mentioned before, like, what are the odds of that? That's some of the wackiest shit to see in football. Like, it bounced off of his heel, like the sliver of his heel, bro. And Landon Collins, I got to give him credit. He had the awareness to catch that ball and keep it pushing.
But the odds of that, him catching the ball and that happening, are actually high. The odds of the refs not blowing it dead because it looked like an interception. Like, those were the crazy odds to me. Like, why didn't they blow it dead? Like, why they letting him still run? Because I thought it was incomplete. You know what I mean? Because I've seen some fluke plays in the past that stuff bounce off stuff and it still ends up being a completion. But come on, I think that got to be blown dead. But the odds of it still hitting the hill is pretty low. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. We couldn't believe it.
I feel you. Now, like Miles Sanders, I know that man came in and did his thing, but back-to-back 100-yard games. We ain't seen that since LaShawn McCoy, right? So, I mean, what's your thoughts on Miles Sanders, right now as a Philadelphia Eagle, and just based off how he's been playing this year, and just his career in Philadelphia, do you think this team has a strong chance of re-signing him, and what do you think that looks like?
I think Miles Sanders is going to end up with 1,000 yards rushing. The thing with Miles Sanders, to me, though he like at 8-something now, right?
Miles Sanders currently he's at.
Right now?
I got you right now. Miles Sanders is literally at 709 rushing yards.
Oh, 709. He's gonna get close.
Averaging
that's still. But this is the thing: 709 rushing yards after a team didn't use you the first 7 weeks. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy to me. So, like, Miles Sanders make me eat my words almost every week because I'm a guy who believes that Jordan Howard is just the better running back for the offensive line.
I think he got better vision.
He got something that Miles don't got. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he falls forward more. For me, it's the dancing. Miles dance. He has a tendency to dance from time to time, whereas though Jordan Howard is a straight one-cut dude, and he gonna fall forward. Jordan Howard is almost like guaranteed like 6 yards behind this offensive line. You know what I mean? And I go from both of them, man, because I know Jordan Howard only 26. You know what I mean? I go from Miles or Jordan Howard every week, but every time I be like, Jordan Howard should be the guy, Miles run for like $125 on like 14 carries. You know what I mean?
So I guess that begs the question, because I know I asked you about Miles' contract situation, because he gonna be in the final year of his deal next year. Like, do you like? I personally like this 1-2 punch from Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, it's all about, because at the end of the day, these organizations don't like paying running backs unless you ultra elite, and then even when you ultra elite, they regret the contract 2 years later. But I personally, I'm of the mindset of we got to find a way to keep Miles and Jordan, because that combination is deadly.
I agree.
And then Kenny Gainwell, doing what he does in the passing game. I love that, because you think, in my humble opinion, think about our Super Bowl run. What was the composition of our running back room? We had a north-south power back in LeGarrette Blount.
Yep.
We had a one-cut elusive back in Jay Ajayi. Mm-hmm. Then we had that scat back, that receiving back in Corey Clement. and we've always been a running back by committee organization for the most part, but that combination, that cocktail was so perfect because it seemed like we always kept the opposing defense off balance, and we were always a play away from breaking one. And that's the energy I'm getting from this current running back room as it's constructed. Kenny Gainwell being that scat back, that receiving back, Jordan Howard being the power back, Miles being the elusive back. And I think Boston Scott going to end up walking at the end of the season. That's just my theory. But like, what's your thoughts on the running back room and just the potential of it?
Well, in comparison to the Super Bowl team, I feel like the Super Bowl team, those guys actually almost did all the same things. Some were better at others in other areas, but you could count on them, all three of those guys, Clement and those guys, to catch. You could count on them to, run with power if you need a short yard, if you need even a short yardage situation. You could count on all three of those guys for the most part to block as well. I think with these new guys, although they're forming into a good mix, you all the time can't count on all three of our guys we got currently to do everything. Jordan Howard's hands are sometimes questionable. You know what I mean? Miles Sanders sometimes, he don't run with power in short yardage situations. And, none of them can catch like Gainwell. So, you know what I mean? I think they all separate themselves a little more, you know what I mean, in terms of those guys. Now, I do believe that Nick Sirianni has found a new faith in the run game. I think the run game saved the opinion of him for years to come. He's always going to remember this season because it saved him running the ball like this. He will always run. I said it to say this. He will always run the ball for the rest of his coaching career as long as he called him plays. He now knows the importance of running the football. You have to bring Miles Sanders back. You got to bring Miles Sanders back for the way he's been used during the course of his career and still been like one of the top guys, in terms of, yardage per season. You got to bring him back. I don't know the future of anybody else except Miles and Gainwell because Gainwell's on a rookie deal. I would like to see Jordan Howard back. I would like to see all of them back, honestly. All of them back. But Miles is the no-brainer guy you got to get something worked out for.
Yeah, Miles, his entire career, his rookie season, now here's the thing about Miles, right? So far, he hasn't given you that 1,000-yard season, right? But that's okay because of the simple fact that he gives you, for example, the rookie season, he gave you over 1,300 yards from scrimmage, receiving and running. Then the sophomore season, where he actually only played like 12, 13 games, he was actually on pace to smash his rookie numbers, but he got hurt. Nonetheless, still gave you over 1,100 yards from scrimmage, rushing and receiving. This year, he's on pace to give you over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, rushing and receiving. So I think that's his style of back. He may not be that consistent 1,000-yard rushing running back per season. He may not be that kind of back, but he's going to give you so much in the passing game and also in the running game. He's versatile in that way. Yeah. And he's actually not a terrible blocker. He's not terrible at all. For somebody who gets hurt or seems to kind of shy away from being physical to a degree, it seems like, because of Jordan Howard being there, I feel like Jordan Howard is rubbing off on him in a way that there was moments throughout that game where I saw Miles lower that shoulder and get physical. You know what I'm saying? So, I personally love this combination of back. I've always been a fan of power backs more than anything because I love just that smash mouth, my shoulder pads versus your shoulder pads. Like it's something about that. Like, but we talked about Hurts and Sirianni's relationship. We talked about Miles Sanders, the running game, Dallas Goedert. There are so many other guys on the offense that we could talk about, like Jalen Reagor, who you mentioned earlier, that he's somebody that showed a lot of effort this past game against Washington, and you can tell, like for example, like you mentioned in that when we fumbled the ball and he stripped the guy, he punched it out. That guy, he was running like his job was on the line. Like there's like he's like that's what I'm saying. I've never seen him run that with that much urgency, right? Yeah. And there's something to be said about somebody that has their back against the wall. And I believe that this game was the perfect game he needed to kind of reinstill that, okay, I can play in this league. I just gotta take advantage of my opportunities and not have any negative plays. What's your thoughts on Jalen Reagor right now? And of course, we could obviously talk about Devontae Smith and what he brings to the table, but Jalen Reagor, he's a case, like he's like the ultimate case study to me because I'm trying to figure out exactly what went wrong with him and his development and with his mentals. But What's your thoughts on Jalen Reagor? How he performed in this past game, and just him right now as a player and potentially what he may be.
I think Jalen Reagor. I just don't think he can be a wide receiver one. And when we drafted him his rookie year, he was a first round pick, being thrust into a situation because no Alshon Jeffrey was there. He was hurt. Deshaun Jackson was hurt. You know what I mean? You got the guys who were supposed to help groom and bring him along not there. And he ended up having to be the man to some degree. And he's a rookie. It's hard to live up to that. Then you bring in another wide receiver. He automatically comes into this season feeling like a failure. You bring in a Heisman winning wide receiver to basically take over, and then then you have the negative plays. And then you got the fan base that'll get on you. I think he has all the potential in the world to be a consistent 65-yard a game dude, like a really, really good wide receiver too. To Devontae Smith. Jalen Reagor led the team in receiving yards at the wide receiver position. Right. So it's like, I think he did his job beautifully. Man, I think he just got to believe in himself more. Who knows? He really could be a number one wide receiver, but all the athleticism and all the attributes to be who he's supposed to be are there. I just think it's like a self-confidence thing. You know what I mean? He's going to be here for the duration of his rookie contract for sure. He's a first-round pick, so he's still got some time to prove it.
Absolutely. Like you said, he has the physical tangibles. He has the athleticism. He's actually probably the more outside of Arcega-Whiteside, probably has the most size at receiver for his height. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's a real stocky dude, and you saw him on those screen plays. There is athleticism in his game. He runs with aggression. You saw him run up that sideline being led by Lane Johnson. You see the speed, you see the explosiveness. You see the explosiveness. I just wish Lane probably could have sealed that edge off a little bit more. He would have been right. If you're going to be honest, Reagor had a chance to have a 2-touchdown day. He had a chance. There was a moment. There was a red zone. He threw some on the screen. He almost got in. Then obviously that big catch. Running behind Lane Johnson. But transitioning
honestly,
from the offense.
My bad. Just a caveat. Honestly, I think we should take him off a punt return. And we should use him more like Deebo Samuels, man. I've been screaming it all year. You know what I mean? He's a guy I think that could take a carry. You know what I mean? He's a guy that could do a lot. Like if you gave some of Jalen Reagor's some of Kenneth Gainwell's carries, and you gave Kenneth Gainwell some of Jalen Reagor's routes, you probably had the best offense in the league. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
If you just mix that up, you know what I'm saying? You could just start it off like 3-3. You will really have two Swiss Army knives that's really, really hard to stop. Because once Jalen Reagor get going, he's like a little stocky running back for real.
I never thought about it from that perspective because I've always heard trying to use him in that Deebo Samuel role. Yeah. But I firmly believe his situation is a confidence issue. I really believe that because it's some situations where I'm like, okay, it's you can't be this bad. You know what I'm saying? And then you see the physical tangibles and. I just think he just need to take advantage of the opportunities that he's given. They need to put him in situations where, he can make something happen. Don't have him on a deep ball. My point is don't put him in situations where he got to think too much.
Exactly.
Put him in a situation where he can react instantly. Like the screen pass, like that pass Jalen Hurts threw to him, the little touch pass that he threw for the third down conversion. Using him in jet sweeps. It's you have to just put him in situations where he doesn't have to think too much, and then the confidence will grow.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I think everybody on our offense is a weapon. I don't think nobody is. I get mad at and frustrated with some of them, but I don't think nobody is totally trash, including Arcega-Whiteside. I just think we just don't know how to use some of these guys.
I agree. I could definitely see that. Could definitely see that. You saw Arcega-Whiteside do what he did in that Saints game. He found a way to break. It's like. I personally feel like Arcega-Whiteside probably should have been a converted tight end. You know what I'm saying? But who
gonna have the guts to do it? You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Right. But Nick's funny. Nick Sirianni struck me as the kind of guy to be like, you know what? You playing tight end today? Let me see something. Like he got that mentality to me. He seemed like he got that mentality.
Dante Smith lined up at left tackle. We saw Slay in motion on offense in this Washington game. Nick Sirianni is doing stuff that hasn't been done, and I just think it looks new to a lot of people, and they kind of worry.
I like that. So let's talk about this defense a little bit because we talked about defense really only having like one bad drive. Really, they obviously did what they could on the turnovers. After the turnovers, but I was really impressed with Fletcher Cox. He had a resurgence game. So, some of the numbers saying a sack and a half, some numbers saying 2 sacks. I'm just gonna give my man 2 sacks. But my man had 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Tyrone Jackson had a beautiful swim move for a tackle for loss.
Right.
I felt like we lived in their backfield most of that game. 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. I felt like they was very disruptive. But I feel like Gannon could be more aggressive at times. I'm tired of him allowing these, mediocre quarterbacks to gain confidence in some shit, way, or form. What's your thoughts on Jonathan Gannon's defense right now, and some of the players that stood out to you in that Washington game?
So some of the players that stood out to me in that Washington game was T.J. Edwards. The dude is really good, man. Like after seeing it in person, man, like what I mean, he's smart. What I mean, he stood out to me for sure. And that defensive line, man, the sacks didn't jump off the radar. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they were crowding around that quarterback and making him move off of his spot. And that's what you got to do to a stationary target. You got to make a move. You know what I mean? And those are the two guys that, those are the two things that stood out to me, with the defense during the Washington game. Now, how I feel about Gannon and his scheme and his approach, it worries me, man. I think it's the only, how should I say this? I think it's the only chink in our armor moving forward that really, really worries me. You know what I mean? He has the ability to respect quarterbacks too much. Like, what I mean? I think he even respects Zach Wilson, which is why Zach Wilson looked like an NFL quarterback against us, and he looked like he should have been playing for the 135s. You know what I mean? Against the rest of the league. So it's crazy. It's crazy to me in that regard, man. He's given up over 80-yard completion percentage to 5 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? This football season, he lives and dies with the zone. You know what I mean? He's afraid to bring pressure because he don't want to get beat deep. But when you playing Blaine Gabbert and possibly Jake Fromm, them the guys you got to bring the pressure to. Let's end this game. Why are we making this a game? Yeah. You know what I mean? I think once he understands that, I think he'll unlock a new level as well. But as of right now, man, he worries me, man, because you got to respect every quarterback in the playoffs. You know what I mean? What if we get this wild card spot and he's just so terrified that we might end up with Tom Brady in the first round? You know what I mean? That he's gonna give him cushion. A lot of people are gonna waste a lot of money going there watching 6 yards of separation for 4 quarters.
My thing is like, especially if we get into the playoffs, it's the playoffs. You gotta lay it all on the line. You gotta take some risk. You know what I'm saying? You can't be so passive because this is one and done. You can't be afraid. Like, it's talking about the blitz in particular. I noticed that when he does blitz, I feel like we don't get home enough. We don't get home enough on some of them blitzes, man. And I think I'm starting to see the disparity in talent to a certain degree when it comes to blitzing because sometimes Alex Singleton can't get through the gap or whoever it may be. It just seems like when we blitz, we're not as disruptive as we could be. Am I far off in that?
I mean, not really. You're not far off on that. But I would like to point out that Singleton wouldn't even be on the field if it wasn't for Davion Taylor going down, who they were really, really high on. Because the combination that started turning things around and getting more pressure was T.J. Edwards and Davion Taylor. Teams were having a hard time stopping those dudes, and Davion Taylor was doing more than he was doing his job at a high level. The fumble that Slade took back against Detroit, he ripped that ball out. You know what I mean? They were doing the little things, and they were like really out there playing football. Alex Singleton, he's a high energy guy. He just ain't that. You know what I mean? He just ain't a part of that combination that can get things done. So the lack of talent, I don't really see that as much. It's more that I see the lack of, creativity because we're doing the same thing every week.
Okay.
We're just not creative with it. I mean, Nick Sirianni could have used that excuse, but he got creative and made teams fear something that we got that he didn't know we had. You know what I mean? This guy, man, Gannon got to get more creative, man. He got to get more creative. He got to call up some more stunts. He got to bring a corner blitz up. You see how fast Slay is at 30 years old? Bring him off the corner. Let him have fun. You got to be more creative, man. He just expect to get pressure with 4. So until you try everything, I could never say it's a lack of talent because it's certain things that you ain't even trying.
That's a good point. The creativity, the lack of creativity, because like you said, Nick Sirianni, you saw what Slay on offense, running that little orbit route or whatever it may be. Like you see Nick Sirianni mix, and that's the good thing, interesting about the run game, right? And I don't mean to go backwards, but you see the creativity in the running game. You see Nick Sirianni being creative with how we're not just running north south, or we're not just running zone run schemes. You see the creativity. You see them trying to get the ball in their playmakers' hands in various ways. And I feel like Gannon needs to do a better job at dictating the pace on defense and leading with aggression. Leading with his best foot forward. I feel like too often, not only does he lack creativity, but it seems like he's always coaching from a play behind instead of coaching from a play or two ahead. He's too reactive to me.
Yeah,
it seems like he'll see the defense do something and say, okay, this is what I got to do to stop that, rather than, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make them change what they're doing based on what I'm doing.
Exactly. Because I always think about it like this, man. He never has a plan B. If his plan A ain't working, he's going to keep riding plan A, and we're going to keep getting exposed. You know what I mean? Send some pressure. If they start abusing the pressure, then you got to go to your plan B. You know what I mean? So you got to try things, and you got to listen. Football ain't just come out this year. You know what I mean? He know what he got to do, man. The defense should not have let Justin Herbert do those things that he did to us. We should have not have let Dak Prescott do those things that he did to us. We was in almost every game except for the Vegas game and the Cowboys game. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts didn't even punt against Kansas City. Why we lose? The defense didn't adjust. You know what I mean? Come on. How you don't punt? And that shit don't go to overtime or something at least. It don't make no sense. You know what I mean? He got to stop respecting these dudes and stop being a fan of these. I'm a fan of these guys too. But I like the kid down the street. I don't like him more than I like my son. You know what I mean? And my son got to win. In this case, his son is the Philadelphia Eagles. Your son, you're going to be a fan of people, but you got to put your son in the best position, don't you? That's the college you got to pay for. Like, what is he doing?
No, you're right, man. No, I dig that. I dig that, man. It's like, it's at the end of the day, I feel like he's coaching to keep his job rather than coaching to like show why he got the job. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's never a good position to coach from.
He's not coaching to be the best. I feel like Nick Sirianni is trying to be the best.
I feel that.
That's the only reason why you improve. You know what I mean? Once you stop improving, you content. He's content with as long as we winning. You know what I mean? I feel like he ain't gonna change nothing until we start losing bad. Because when we was losing bad, he was on the hot seat.
For sure. And you can make an argument that he only got the job really because of familiarity. Nick Sirianni brought some guys with him that he trusted. Mm-hmm. But after this season, I feel like Nick Sirianni do got to evaluate. Now, I feel like as much as Gannon has been kind of up and down, it's moments where I say to myself, okay, do you want to give this roster another season with his scheme to see if it's more so a familiarity issue, or do you want to have these players kind of start from square one with the new defensive coordinator, learning new concepts, new terminology, so on and so forth? What's your thoughts on that?
I think say that again one more time.
So it's like, Jonathan Gannon, yes, he's been on the hot seat throughout the season, and he's been up and down, right? So that begs the question, does he deserve to be here next year? So I guess what I'm really trying to ask is, do you want to give Gannon another season with this roster? Maybe it's a familiarity issue. Maybe the longer they're in his scheme, the better they'll be, right? Or do you want to run the risk of moving on from him, bringing in a new defensive guy and bringing in new concepts, so on and so forth, and just taking that, I guess, learning from square one?
I'm done with him because you could replace him and keep your same core guys on defense. The communication is there with the guys. The players win the game. You know what I mean? The coach is just giving the players, their handbook to the game. That's all that's happening. If you keep Fletch and you keep these linebackers and you keep most of the secondary led by Darius Slay, a lot's not going to change. Only thing that's going to change is they're going to get a new handbook and they're going to execute that handbook. Every other handbook is better than giving guys 6 yards of cushion. I can almost guarantee you that. And I think our defense is smart enough to figure it out from there. You know what I mean? We got to start. I mean, we got to get grimier. We just don't feel grimy as a defense to me. You know what I mean?
Offense grimy, but defense seems like they could be grimier. Like it seems like they could be.
We got to be nasty. Like I don't even be seeing big hits no more from our defense. It's like everybody trying to tackle at the ankles. You know what I mean? We got to get greasy, and it's only like 2 guys like that. It's like Slay and I can't even tell you the second for real. But I know it's crazy.
There's not too many games that you can say defense set the tone. Like
Exactly.
I can't think of one game where I can say, yo, defense, they set the tone. Defense got us through this one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that Panthers game, maybe defense was everywhere, but
Yeah.
but I feel like that was more so a product of impact plays from your impact players like Darius Slay and like TJ Edwards blocking the punt. You know what I mean? I feel like that was more so individual efforts rather than the defense maybe as a whole establishing that that culture, that
And
identity.
that's a really good point. What it is it's a lot of individual efforts because we got guys getting interceptions, which is individual. We got guys poking out balls. You're right. It's a lot of individual success. Like I want to see us blow up a running play and like three dudes back there, and it's a whole gang tackle. I want us to rally to the ball like that. I want everybody in on the action. So Gannon, what really needs to happen, in my opinion, is I think Sirianni got to be more nosy, man. Every time I hear a Sirianni press conference, Sirianni gives me the vibe like I'm in all the offensive meetings. Like that's my priority, offense. But when I think about a head coach, you know what I mean, bro, I need to know the offensive game plan, and you got to run this defensive game plan by me too. I need to okay everything before Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like he got to be more nosy, man.
yeah. I think he's gonna earn that or gain that with more experience as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? I feel like right now he's trying to I feel like he's trying to delegate and allow his defensive guys to be defensive guys and let them do their jobs. But you're absolutely right, though. It's going to come a point where he has to. I don't want to say micromanage because I'm not a fan of anybody being micromanaged, but more so just saying, hey, yo, what y'all working on? What y'all playing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool, I like that. Or say, be a little bit more aggressive in that, and you got to deal on that game plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think the longer Nick Sirianni is the head coach or the longer he's a head coach, especially for this team, the more in tune he's going to be the more in tune he's going to be within his role, the more secure he's going to be within that role. Because I still feel like at times he think he's just a coordinator, But
okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
But nah, like this is your baby right here. Everything lead back to you. So you need to hold these defensive coordinators, these defensive specialists, these coaches as accountable as the media or the GM gonna hold you as accountable, because at the end of the day, it always come back to you. Mm-hmm. And anything that you allow to go on under your watch will always be either a detriment or a result of you. It's always going to come back to you, is my ultimate point.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think he got a greater responsibility than he thinks. You could save jobs if you just. I'm sad to say it, if you just pry a little bit. You know what I mean? Hey, okay, so how y'all think we should approach this? It's ways. I mean, you in a leadership position, there's ways that you can get through to guys. Me personally, I would do it like this. So what we got going on this weekend? If I don't like the game plan, I'm gonna be like, well, do you got a plan B in case it don't work? You know what I mean? Do you got something else? Like, what if they do this as opposed to, what you got going on, what you going to do then? You got to do all of that stuff, man. I don't think Belichick is letting the defense just walk around and him learning what's happening on Sunday. I think Nick Sirianni just gives me that vibe, like he's just going to give everybody space and their freedom. He's going to try to be the cool boss. But that's how you get fired.
Absolutely, man. So, let's transition into this Giant game. But before we do that, make sure you guys smash that like button. It really helps the content move. As y'all can see, I got my man, the veteran, Brunson, in the building. My man showing mad love today. So make sure you guys smash that like button, share the content. If you can't comment, tell your friends, tell your kids, tell your wife, tell your homies. You know what I'm saying? Tell your school teachers, tell your personal trainer. You know what I'm saying? Tell your high school coach. Listen, we out here, man. Chalk It Up Sports Philly is here to stay. And I'm here with my man, Brunson, grinding out his content. So make sure you guys smash that like button. I'd be so grateful for that. It really helps the content move and helps everyone find it. But, let's get into this Eagles-Giants matchup, because this needs to be a redemption game for not only this team, but a redemption game for Jalen Hurts more than anything. What's your thoughts on this upcoming matchup with the Giants? Because, we're at that point in the season now where we can't afford to slip against any opponent. Everybody is food to me, and I don't care what your record is. You're gonna catch these hands. So what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, this is a redemption game for the city. We ain't feel good after we took that loss because we knew we should have beat that team. We were better than that team. We've always been better than that team. I think the Giants are silly. I think the Giants, in a way, they kind of getting disrespectful. Did you hear them playing the Fly Eagles Fly, our fight song at practice today? Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that.
No, you talking about when Judge was playing the
yeah, he playing that.
He playing Meek. He playing
he playing the Fresh Prince.
He was playing getting jiggy with it. Like, what's up with him? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yo, like he a
Like,
disgusting individual. Like
the division, we got the most arrogant division in sports, hands down. Anytime a team like the Washington football team, who ain't been nowhere since 1992, gonna bring their own benches to our stadium after the Cowboys brought benches to their stadium. Now you got the Giants playing the Philly songs at practice. Now, come on. The Giants ain't been 500 since the beginning of the season when they was 0-0. I don't think they have – the Giants have been trashed for like 4 or 5 straight years, like a 5-win team. Like, who do these guys think they are? And then we slip up and we lose to some of these bums, and then they feel like that they can start ring checking us again. I think we need to blow the Giants out. Bottom line, I want to blow this team out. First of all, get the win and get everybody out healthy. It's a short turnaround week, but I want to blow the Giants out. I'm so tired of the Giants, all the crying they did last offseason, transitioning to this. Nick Sirianni's already better than Joe Judge easily.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what I mean? I just want to run through this team. This need to be the win where the league, it don't matter how bad the Giants are or who they don't have. This need to be the win where the league got to say, they just put hands on them. Yeah. And they're trending towards playoffs. This is who we need to put hands on. So everybody can fear playing us in this first round if they get to that. We need to expose these dudes. We need to destroy this franchise. And we could get Joe Judge fired if it's bad enough.
Absolutely. You know I agree with 150%. No, you're right, because I'll be honest, I was firmly embarrassed when we lost that game because I knew for a fact we should never lost that game. And to make it even worse, it was like a slow burn because it wasn't like we was getting blown out. They couldn't put up points, so it was like they was teasing us like, "Oh, we're gonna get back in this game, psych. We're gonna get back in this game, psych." And I'm like, "Yo, like it was just not good all the way around." Not only was Jalen Hurts abysmal, but I felt like the play calling was inconsistent at times. Mm-hmm. It seemed like there was moments when Nick Sirianni couldn't really commit to necessarily what he wanted to do. And overall, like you said, this has to be a game where we straight flat out embarrass these dudes. This need to be the game that get Joe Judge fired. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This need to be the game that get Dave Gettleman fired. This need to be the game that make them sell the team. I'm trying to lay hands, feet, the kitchen sink, the table, the chairs. You know what I'm saying? Like you know how they used to say back in the day, on WWE, bring out the chairs. Yeah. I'm trying to lay it all on them.
We need to. I mean, the way I envision this game, Tone, we need to give them the ball first, 3 and out, and start putting hands on them. Get the ball back at half and continue to put hands on them. Mm-hmm. That's the way that I see this game, man. You got to go out here. Listen, they caught us slipping. We had a really bad game. That game was the epitome of rookie mistakes. The coach was making them. The quarterback was making them. The only thing, and you still had a chance to win the game. We just got to get rid of these dudes, man. These dudes ain't no hurdle. We the favorites for a reason. They got to come to the link. Everything is in our favor. It's just nothing even really. We don't even get. It's nothing to break down. Like, we better than them. We need to cook them.
Absolutely. It's real simple to me. So, I'm pretty sure you heard the news. Obviously, Nick Sirianni and my man got COVID, unfortunately. I don't know if he shook, one of those Washington football team players' hands or whatever it may be. I don't know if some of their roaches got over in the building, whatever it may be. But, there's a chance that he may not be coaching on Sunday. And Shane Steichen will be calling the plays. Kevin Patullo, the passing game coordinator, he's going to be making game time decisions, such as if we're going to kick a field goal, if we're going to call timeouts, things of that nature. So the duties will be split. And on top of that, the Giants are going to be starting their rookie, Jake Fromm, to get a look at him. So this is a perfect opportunity for this coaching staff to show why they got their jobs as well. Because, I actually have this weird, and I have no reason for this, but I have this weird trust for Shane Steichen. I don't know why, but I like the way he brought Justin Herbert along. I like that he was able to involve Austin Eckler with Justin Herbert's development. And I don't think we're going to have a drop off in how we and how we do things. What's your thought on just this COVID situation with Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff? Having to come in and take over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the worst. That's the worst case scenario though, was the drop off that you just spoke of. I mean, at worst, we just look like a different offensively led team. But you're bringing up a lot of good points, man. Especially how he brought up Justin Herbert. I'm worried about it being a drop off, man, because I think Nick Sirianni. I'm worried about it, even though it's the worst case scenario. I think Nick Sirianni honestly is the best play caller in the division. I know a lot of people want to talk about Kellen Moore. I think he developed into the best play caller in the division. I mean, anytime you can just turn it around at the drop of a hat like that, not a lot of people can do that. It was like one day we woke up and we was a running team after not running the ball. I mean, the dude, he's not overthinking it and he's getting way more creative. I'm actually worried about him not being there.
So now let me add this in. I was watching an old press conference earlier in the season, and come to find out, although Nick Sirianni is the play caller, Shane Steichen is the one that he's the one that tells the team which packages and formations they going in. Nick Sirianni just calls the plays out of those formations. So yeah, it was crazy. I got to figure out which press conference it was, but I remember him saying it vividly. He pretty much just basically saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be calling the plays. Shane, he's going to, he's in charge, the packages and the formations, but I call the plays out of the formation," which is very interesting to me. So I'm really curious to see how Shane Steichen is as a play caller, just straight up, dealing with the formations and the packages. But
is he going to do both?
I'm assuming so. And I don't think there will be too much of a drop off, if there even will be one, for the simple fact that we've carved out this identity throughout the past several weeks, and I think it'd be a far cry if we just completely forget how we play football. I don't think this offensive line will allow it. I don't think this quarterback will allow it. I just don't think this personnel will allow us to change our entire philosophy because Nick Sirianni is not in the building. Because in order for that philosophy to come to fruition, Shane Steichen has to be on board in some shape, way, or form, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a plus that he's doing both, calling the packages and the plays out of the package. I think you could only get a more positive flow. Like, it just makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Because if you telling me that we coming out and 12 personnel, and I call something that you wouldn't have called, you know what I mean? It's I don't know. This is really going to be interesting, man. I agree. And it only helps that, we have a short week. That helps, I believe. We ended the game strong, taking care of business. And I think, having a short week, starting fast is just in the cards for us this week. So I agree with you, man. I'm actually looking forward to see it, but I got to be worried, man, because Nick was amazing in Washington.
Yeah, he was. I'll be honest. Like, that was probably one of his better games play calling. Even that first quarter from a play calling perspective wasn't really that bad. It was the fact we had turnovers, and it kind of limited what we were able to do in that first quarter. I did feel like it was times where we should have ran that ball, like on 3rd and 1, where we threw the ball to Goddard and he dropped it. I felt like that should have been a clear run, but and there were certain times where he did like 3 or 4 pass plays in a row, which kind of I was a little unsettled about it. But when you saw the connection building, you saw Jalen Hurts hitting these guys in the dime, and like you said, throwing guys open, it made you a stronger believer in the passing game.
It kind of actually, now that you say that, I'm worried about both of them now, Steichen and Sirianni, because there's one play that I vividly remember from the game where we got the field goal out of it, how close we were to the goal line, and on that 3rd down play, we came out in an empty backfield. We're the number one rushing team in the league. We came out in an empty backfield. So if Steichen is calling the package for an empty backfield to the head coach, who is the guy that's, calling the play, you need to reverse that. Like, we're going empty goal line. So I'm worried now. You just made me worried, man.
Hey, listen, that's not even my goal, man. I'm just trying to call how I see it, right?
No. It's good you pointed that out, because now it's like they both were on board for an empty backfield on a 3rd and 3rd and 2.
Here's the thing, right? Now, here's the thing about that, right? On Jalen Hurts' second rushing touchdown, we were in an empty backfield again. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm sitting there like, yo, are they serious? They got all the receivers bunched up in one spot. What's up? So all of a sudden they said, hey, you see my man Hurts just quarterback draw right up the middle. I'm like, oh, I see this coming.
Bro,
Like,
that's why I like talking to you, because I did a complete memory dump of that because we scored. I forgot the package. I forgot how bad it looked, but it was a play that worked. So yeah, like that's two situations. Like, why are we doing that? Like, nobody is afraid of us passing the ball. So why are we going empty on the goal line? They're afraid of us running it.
right.
Show a play action on a goal line or a bootleg from an I formation. Like,
I feel you, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's certain times where I'm like, yo, just run the ball 40 times a game, make them stop you straight like that.
Mhm.
Like, make them stop you because as a team, these past several weeks, and I'm telling you, the Giants really don't want this, man. Like, and I really hate how after that game they was talking like they really did so. It really pissed me the hell off because like the players was talking like, oh yeah, we knew what they wanted to do, so we just came in and did. Nah, listen, we didn't show up. Y'all are who we thought y'all were, and we sure just didn't show up. So it's gonna be real exciting to see how explosive, like, because this offense, this team, for the past several weeks, in particular the offense, for the past since I think week 8, since we started running the ball, basically since that Detroit game, you can call us a top 10, top 5 offense because the way we're running the ball, like for example, against Washington, we had over 500 yards of offense, leading with running the ball and passing the ball on 26 attempts. Like people talking about, oh, you can't win this way. What's the numbers telling you? What's the results telling you? On multiple occasions throughout the season, we put up 30 points or more. Mm-hmm. And this team isn't even. This team is supposed to be rebuilding. We got a rookie head coach. You know what I'm saying? We're not even supposed to be here. And that's why there's something about Nick Sirianni that just tells me, yo, this man he wants to be great at this gig. He wants to be great because his willingness to adapt. He understood that. Listen, I'm not losing this job for nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, it was literally a complete 180.
I never seen it like it.
As far as the offense goes and the points and then the yardage that we get now, it's literally been a complete 180. We went from bottom 7 in points per game last year to only scoring more points than teams like Jacksonville, the Giants, the Bengals, who lost their quarterback, New England, who lost Brady to Tampa. Like, you know what I mean? The only teams that we scored more points than were teams that everybody should have been scoring more points against. Now we 11th in points per game, right outside of the top 10 at 26 points a game. If you don't think this offense is better than what it was last year, you got to be tripping.
You're smoking dope. You got to
be tripping. Only thing we ironing out is, the small things. That's it. Once the small things get ironed out and we embrace our identity, you know what I mean? We can put up points. Like, the Giants not going to put up 20 in this game
at all.
I don't think they're putting up 20. So therefore, we're going to beat them regardless, because I think we're going to put up more than 20. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, I feel like we equipped, man. The defense just got to catch up.
No, you're right. You're right. It's funny you brought up the points, right? Because, the Giants right now, I think they're not even averaging 20 points on the season.
They're bottom 3. They're averaging 17. They're bottom 3.
Exactly. As a team, they're averaging 17, and their opponents is averaging 23, 24 points on them. You know what I'm saying?
They're the worst red zone team in the league.
The absolute worst. They're 37. They're not even 40% on third down conversions. They're 37% on third down, man. On top of that, when it comes to rushing, they're allowing teams to rush for over 4 yards a carry on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're allowing teams to get 125 yards a game. Running the ball.
What they will have is confidence, because as of right now, the only good thing that they can say is that they beat us. That's the only thing they can say this season. Mm-hmm. Is, hey, we beat them. They feel like they could beat us though, and that's dangerous.
And that's what I don't like. That's why that lost me more to me than anything, because it's nothing. It's not the worst thing you can do is give somebody that ain't had confidence. Right. Because when they got it now, it's like a boxer. It's like, you go into a match and you're never supposed to win this joint. You're never supposed to be here. But somehow, some way, you knock down your opponent in that second round. You're like, whoa, wait, maybe I can run with this ball. And next thing you know, you start playing free. And we don't need the Giants playing free. We need them second guessing everything they do.
What we got to do, it has to start with the defense. It has to start with the defense this game, because Jake Fromm was throwing some decent passes, man. From the game he played in last week, he was throwing some decent passes. And what I got from that was the teams wasn't making him move off his spot. He didn't even move. He did a 3-step drop and stayed exactly where he was at, with his feet set the whole time. We got to make him move. We got to make him make some of them throws on the run. We got to make him, we got to move him around. We got to put pressure on him. And listen, man, if it don't happen this week, man, the playoffs, man, even if we win the game, and if this dude go out here and have a career day and we still win, who are we really expecting to stop in the playoffs? Heineke might cook us. If we let Jake Fromm, Heineke going to be back for the second game. You know what I mean? If we let Jake Fromm cook us, like, come on, nobody's going to fear us.
Absolutely, man. And it makes you think about this NFC playoff picture because, if we can't stop the lowly Giants, if we allowing Gilbert Grape and Jake Fromm, to do their thing, like who can we really say, okay, we deserve to run with those guys, because the playoff picture is really heating up, my man. Like, it's like we're at that 8th spot, and
yeah,
and it's really wide open because the Vikings, I really don't expect the Vikings to really beat the Rams and beat the Packers in 2 straight weeks. I really don't expect that at all. If I'm being completely honest with you, there's a chance that the 49ers may lose to the Titans. You never know.
That's on now, ain't it?
Like, as a matter of fact, that I think that's on right now. Let me check that score, because if the 49ers lose, then that puts us in an even better position.
That's
so
what we need to happen now.
Right now, oh wow, 49ers up 10-0. Wow, man. But I can't deny the 49ers have actually been playing good football. Garoppolo is making timely throws. George Kittle is doing George Kittle things. That running game is legit. But we have to make sure we keep teams like the Saints at bay. Even though we do own the tiebreaker, got to keep them at bay. We got to keep Washington at bay as well. Anything's possible. And then we got to, I'll be honest. The main people I'm worried about is this Vikings team, because if the Vikings lose at least one of those games and we went out, then we locked up that 7th seed. Honestly, the 6th and 7th seed is very much within reach. It's just a matter of how San Fran and the Vikings are in their seasons. What's your thoughts on this overall playoff picture and potentially the matchups?
I think honestly, I feel like it's important for us to not even look ahead, because if we just take care of the food we're supposed to take care of, if we end this thing at 9-7, I think 9-7 does it for us. I think 9-7 will get us into the playoffs. 10-7, even better.
Yeah.
The Vikings don't have that much of a favorable schedule. The 49ers seem like they trending up. I would like to keep up the pace with the 49ers. You know what I mean? Because the 6th seed will have us playing who right now?
So I'm going to show you right now, because here's the interesting part about this. This thing is actually heating up, because there's so many teams that are competitive right now, and most of these
5, right?
Most of these teams. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Most of these teams. All right, so here we are. So, all right, when you think about it from this perspective, if we end up getting that 7th seed, we might end up facing the Cowboys in that first round. 6th seed got to play the 3rd seed. So it might be the Bucks. It all depends, because here's the thing about this thing. Like, this can change at any point. Every team is only about a game and a half behind the other, maybe half a game. And this is arguably one of the more competitive seasons that we've ever had the pleasure of experiencing in football. Like, there's so much parity.
I want the Cowboys.
Oh, thank you.
I want the Cowboys.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yes. I ain't gonna hold you.
I want the Cowboys.
Now you're speaking my lingo. Listen, I've been telling people I want the Cowboys 2 weeks in a row. I want them to feel me. I'm gonna be honest with you. At this point in the season, I fear no man. I fear no organization, because the way I see it, anybody can get touched.
Do you know how hard both of those teams are going to play? If the Eagles end up playing the Cowboys in the playoffs, that will be a classic. That game will be played for years to come. People going to put it on the line. I want the Cowboys, because Jalen Hurts shows up when the lights are that bright. Jalen Hurts is one of those guys. If you get Jalen Hurts in the playoffs against the Dallas Cowboys, I'm telling you, he's walking out there with a dub.
I believe that. I think that first matchup was a combination of bad play calling and just I guess not really understanding the moment or not really bad in the moment, but I really put that game on play calling first and foremost. Nick Sirianni said it himself that he was trying too hard to play their kind of football. He was probably trying too hard to keep up with them instead of making them play the your pace. He was trying to play to theirs. And I feel like, the way with the brand of football we playing right now, a team don't want to come up. And none of these top seeds want to run up against us because of how dominant the running game is and how we've dictated time of possession.
The way we playing right now, it neutralizes guys like Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is disruptive in the pass game. If we start running power football, Michael Parsons got to come into the block and start shooting the gaps. Now, what happens when you do a play action with a rollout to Jalen Hurts, who's fast enough to take the edge? You got Michael Parsons already in the backfield looking for a running back when your quarterback kept the ball. The Cowboys don't want to see us in the first round. I'm telling you that. It would not be in their best interest.
No, I believe that 150%. You think about it as if because I'll be honest, I'm expecting the Packers to lock up the first seed, and then everything else after that is pretty much up in the air to me, between that second and fifth seed. So who knows if like you said, I hate to look at so much ahead, but at the end of the day, we gotta think about these things. As content creators, we can't help it, right? So it's like we would have the Cowboys week 18 at home, which is actually optimal for us, right? That'll be the perfect game for us to get right against them.
Yeah.
And right now, they can't stop the run. They can't. They can't stop the run. They have a hard time running the ball. Dak Prescott doesn't seem to be as sharp as he was earlier in the season. I honestly think he's hurt still. Ezekiel Elliott, he's nursing an injury. Tony Pollard, he's nursing an injury. Offensive line has been in shambles all year long. Their brightest spot has been the defense. Trevon Diggs took a step back. He hasn't been as explosive as he was early in the season. The main guys in their defense that's really been popping out was Micah Parsons and Randy Gregory. They've been holding it down.
Yeah.
But if we play our brand of football, maintain that physicality, our guys versus your guys, we're going to wear them down. Like, think about this, right? I heard this stat. I was watching The Herd, and Colin Hurd brought up this stat. He said the Eagles have 7 rushing touchdowns in the first half and 14 rushing touchdowns in the second half. They wear down defenses. Like, that's their brand of football. They continue to pound to the, like, it's like a meat tenderizer, bro. It's like at some point, like, you're going to give.
Exactly.
At some point, you're going to give.
Exactly. And that speaks volumes to the changes that Sirianni made. I mean, listen, when you run the ball, you bring a physical element. You bring, like, you separate the boys from the men, because you got to be able to block. You got to be able to hit. You got to be used to contact. And we have an offensive line that wants all of that type of smoke. Landon Dickerson and Kelsey. Do you see how these dudes are running? I saw Kelsey running stride for stride with Washington against with Miles Sanders, bro.
What? That man 33, 34 years old. I can't even tell.
Stride for stride. Now I will say this, being as though I seen it live, Miles was, following him more. So, because if Miles wanted to put the burners on, he could have. But he ain't supposed to be that fast. Bottom line, he ain't supposed to be that fast, no matter how you cut it. Landon Dickerson the same way, man. Even though I didn't see him live, he on tape is looking for violent collisions. Jordan Mailata is an animal.
They lead with violence.
They want violence.
They choose violence.
You got a rugby player, and you got 2 dudes who buy out bear trucks and give out beer. Like, come on, bro. They want violence. I didn't even talk about Lane, who's been the dominant force since he came back.
Been a dog. And look, like, I'm going to give credit to Jack Driscoll. I know he hurt, but Jack Driscoll was a dog. Yeah, came in big for Brandon Brooks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's be real. We was missing our top 4 guards against Washington. Mm-hmm. Our top 4: Brooks, Isaac Samalu, Driscoll, Lane Dickerson. We're missing our top 4 guards. So Petta came in, had a brain fart with the false start, I think it was, or holding, whatever it was. He had 1 penalty, but after that, lights out. Dictated pace, and you got to give credit to Jeff Stoutland for coaching these guys up.
He's the best offensive line coach in the
game. But I wish position coaches can go in the Hall of Fame, because, like,
he's the best.
He's the best. Like, you give him a fat kid that love cake, he gonna turn him into the best offensive lineman in the league.
And this is the thing, man. Didn't he elect to stay? Or he was one of the only guys we kept.
He could have went to Bama.
Yeah, that's That's what I'm saying. That shows the connection between the offensive line, the guys that he been with, and him. You know, they love that guy, bro. And he loved them. And if things were bad last year, and he still stayed after a 4-1 season.
Right, man. That
You know what I
speaks to
mean?
his character. Speak to his character. That speaks to that relationship he had with those players. And I honestly, it's funny because Mailata had an interview, right? And they asked him, how do you feel about Stoutland making a return, this, that, and the third, right? He said, I'll be honest. When I found out he potentially could be leaving, like I was shaking in my boots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that man, I wouldn't be where I'm at without that man. That man truly has turned me into an NFL player. And I think Jeff Stoutland stayed because you know how sometimes when you have, as a mad scientist, you want to see your experiments through. And I feel like Jeff Stoutland, he knew he had a project for real and Jordan Mailata.
Mm-hmm.
And to say that you were the guy that turned this rugby player into this juggernaut at left tackle, that's something on your resume. And I think he had to see that through.
Jordan Mailata should have been a Pro Bowler.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like Lane Johnson arguably is a Pro Bowler. I get it. He missed a lot of games. Kelsey is the best center in football. You got guys that you have coached to a magnitude that you could plug and play at any given time. You took Landon Dickerson, who was having issues earlier, and turned him into a force to be reckoned with in his rookie season. The dude is the best offensive line coach in the National Football League. You got these dudes playing a physical brand of football. Like, they don't give up a lot of sacks. You know what I mean? These dudes are – Lane Johnson ain't give up a sack since he's been back.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
They say he only gave up one sack since 2019.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. They said it was like over like almost 800 snaps or like 780 snaps. He only gave up one sack. I'm like, huh? Like, what? Come on, man. But you brought up the Pro Bowl, right? Jason Kelsey made it to the Pro Bowl. Darius Slay made it to the Pro Bowl. I personally felt like Jake Elliott should have made the Pro Bowl. My man hasn't missed a kick all season. He's 100% on his extra points, kicking over 92, 93% for field goal range. I felt like Hargrave should have made it in over Kenny Clark. Is that his name? Kenny Clark from the Packers?
I agree. From the Falcons or the Packers?
I think he was the Packers, but I'm not saying Javon Hargrave has had the most stellar season, but he had a better season. He's having a better season than Kenny Clark.
Yeah, he's having a better season.
I just don't understand how Kenny Clark makes it, but Javon Hargrave doesn't. Now, granted, Hargrave is an alternate. Jake Elliott is an alternate. Sean Bradley is an alternate. That means something. They're alternates. Jalen Hurts is the alternate. I saw you tweet and just showing Jalen Hurts love, and it's like, it's Hurts season, man. Like how can people really deny what the work he's been putting in? He's a young guy trying to make it happen, and how can you hate on it?
Yeah, I mean, what do you got? 24 total touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the picks, the picks really wasn't a concern until the Giants game.
Absolutely, you're absolutely.
Right. It wasn't a concern until the Giants game. Honestly, I was shocked. Because you would have never thought, when you really sit back and look at the season Jalen Hurts is having, almost every other team would be way more appreciative to have him, than how our fan base acts. And you can get lost in it. I was honestly shocked that he was named, a reserve. I want to know how it works because, Stafford didn't make the Pro Bowl, but I'm sure a guy of his age declined being a reserve. You know what I mean? I feel like being a reserve is more like a young man thing. Like they just would be happy to be, mentioned for the opportunity. But listen, they got to think something of you to even be named a reserve because Daniel Jones ain't no reserve. Taylor Heineke ain't no reserve. You know what I mean? It's a lot of dudes who ain't no reserve. They said Trevor Lawrence was a generational talent. He ain't no reserve. You know what I mean? So
Mac Jones is Mac Jones a reserve? I'm not sure.
And Mac Jones should be one of the dudes that made it. I think
on the AFC, the quarterbacks that made it were Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Then he probably should. He's deserving of being a reserve. I hope he's a reserve because Josh Allen ain't going to jump to be a reserve. It's a dude that almost had an MVP season. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I would think Mac Jones is a reserve for sure.
I feel you. So, before we close out, I want to pick your brain about, since we're looking ahead a little bit, I want to pick your brain about not only free agency, but also the fact that we have locked in 3 first-round picks because Carson Wentz stayed healthy and did his job. So now we can officially put him out of our memory bank. We're no longer tied to him in any way. So I guess the ultimate question is, you know, do we trust Howie to make the right decisions, not only in free agency but also with this draft capital that he has? Because sometimes with what's the word I'm looking for, with excess, you
Mhm.
tend to be a little bit overindulgent, and you make mistakes, and you overthink some things. So I guess, do you trust Howie right now, to make some pretty significant decisions in free agency and in this draft?
I trust him more in free agency than I do in the draft. I mean, it's almost like, the more money you got, the bigger the opportunity you have to messing it up. You know what I mean? Because you're going to start doing a bunch of stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing. But, if I'm going to predict what Howie's going to do in the draft, I'm going to say Howie is going to at least trade one of those first round picks to have
Agreed.
another first round pick next year. You know what I mean? I think, he's going to keep a first round pick in the tuck because the quarterback class ain't that good, and you can still just use 2 first round picks to get talent for defense. Do you really got to spend all 3 first round picks on defense this year? I don't think you got to do that. I think 2 picks will suffice, and you can get some more guys. You know what I mean? Later on in that draft in particular, but I think Howie Roseman is going to trade one of those 3 first round picks to hold it for the 2023 draft or whatever that one will be, to evaluate quarterbacks from a better class if Jalen Hurts don't pan out.
I feel you
And
on that.
I think Howie Roseman has always been good. He's going to look for somebody who was good somewhere else and try to pay him pennies. That's what he does.
For me, I feel like, it wouldn't hurt to get Devontae Smith, a veteran wide receiver, next to him. In my opinion, it wouldn't hurt.
In free agency.
Yeah, free agency. Yeah, I don't think we need to expend any more draft capital on wide receivers unless you maybe go into like a 6th, 7th round.
Yeah.
Or maybe a fifth. But I don't think we need to really expend too much draft capital on wide receiver. I think we're good in that respect. But I would like to go get a veteran in free agency. Now, the key guys that are going to be available at wide receiver is Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, who actually just tore his ACL or something like that, or MCL. So I don't know how I feel about him anymore. But more notably, Devontae Adams. Do you think any of those guys are possible?
I don't think Devontae Adams is possible at all. I think if there is a possibility, I think Devontae Adams would really love to come over here because he's really high on Devontae Smith. So I think, if it came down to that, he would like to play and, help bring along Devontae Smith. As far as Allen Robinson, I think Allen Robinson is ideal. I would love to have Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is a dog. He's in circumstances to where, they can't get him the ball. You know what I mean? They're going through a lot of quarterback changes. Chris Godwin, I would definitely take a chance because he's going to be for the cheap. He just tore his ACL. I would take a chance on him. You know what I mean? He's still young. You know what I mean? He ain't going to get max money. You would be able potentially to get Chris Godwin on a deal. You know what I mean? Let him let him heal up, let him rehab up, because the Bucks ain't going to bring him back. They might. I don't see that happening though.
That's a good point. This is this is the list of the top free agents right now. You got Von Miller right there. You got Allen Robinson, Chandler Jones, Chris Godwin, Dante Fowler, Devontae Adams, Tyrann Mathieu. At
I wouldn't
safety.
be surprised if we got Brandon Sharif. Something like that. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's the very much Eagles thing to do.
You talking about the guard,
right? Because Brooks is leaving.
Interesting. And Brandon Scherf, he just made the Pro Bowl this year, so that price probably just went up.
Dante Fowler is very intriguing. We do need edge support. I think it's going to be more of a wide receiver or edge. I wouldn't be surprised at an offensive lineman either, though.
I feel you on that. Bringing somebody that's been there before, like a veteran, somebody that got that experience. I wouldn't be surprised if we draft an offensive lineman or two either. That's something that we've always, we're always going to invest in the trenches no matter what. And I think that's what I love. Like, that's the one thing I can say I do respect about Howie, the fact that he has always made it a clear point to invest in these trenches, man. Like, I got to give him credit in that respect. But, also we got a super chat from my man Joseph Hudson. We got a $10 super chat. The OG. He said, "Yo, LB, if I would bet money on how the guys you said we should have picked were panning out, I'd be sitting pretty right now. Talk about your draft history."
No, man. Listen, I've been hot the last couple of years. Shout out my guy Joseph. I've been hot the last couple of years, man. I screamed from the top of the roof for DK. I screamed for Justin Jefferson. The list goes. I screamed for Quez. Actually, a lot of people didn't even know about him. The list goes on, man.
Wow.
Because I evaluate talent differently. You know what I mean? I talked about Mac Jones being the best quarterback out of this draft. Nobody
You said that. You was one of the only people that jumped out on the limb and said that.
I got a
I'll
lot
be
of
honest.
hate.
I'm gonna give you your flowers on that one because you was the only one I saw that actually jumped out on the limb and said, "Yo, I'm telling you, he the best quarterback. Watch him be the best quarterback in this draft. Y'all gonna be salty." You know what I'm saying? And then you even talk about the fact about Trevor Lawrence. It's like, yo, like he got to get to the league first. You're talking about what he did in college. He got to play in this league first. He gonna be booty with the Jags. And
I talked about Wilson and Trevor Lawrence not being better than Mac Jones this year. I've been wrong too before. Like I thought Kyle Pitts was going to be like a complete bust. But Kyle Pitts actually just made the Pro Bowl. What, he got 900 receiving yards from the tight end position as a rookie?
He got a little over 800, but he only got like 2 touchdowns, I think.
He got one touchdown. That's the only thing he said.
One touchdown.
He got one touchdown. He's not a red zone threat. You know what I mean? So that was my knock on him anyway at this level. We all know he's fast and he'll be able to get yardage. He's faster than a lot of linebackers, but he's not a red zone threat. So I'm not gonna say I was totally wrong, but his job is to get in the end zone, he's a tight end.
No, I feel you.
But yeah, man, I appreciate that though, Joe.
Yeah, shout out to Joseph Hudson for donating to the channel, the $10 super chat. Super grateful to you, OG. Really appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? We got my man Philly Fresh in the building too. Yo, how you feeling, my guy? You already know his love, my man. Yeah, one of the first guys to show me love in his YouTube game, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to Philly Fresh. Make sure y'all go lock in on his content as well. Also lock in on my man Lord Brunson as well. Like, comment, and subscribe to his content. You know what I'm saying? He always giving y'all that high five. But we definitely need to invest in the edge linebackers in this draft. What do you think their first pick is going to be though? Like, if it is a defensive guy, do you think it's going to be on the edge? Do you think it's going to be a linebacker?
I think this is the year for linebacker. We ain't doing it in a long time. I think this is the year for linebacker. I think we know we need coverage guys. Eric Wilson didn't make it. You benched Alex Singleton. You know what I mean? You got Davion Taylor can't stay healthy. You know what I mean? TJ Edwards emerged. You know what I mean? I think he earned an extension. You got to go get a linebacker who is dependable. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be linebacker this year.
I feel you on that. And it's crazy because historically we've never valued the linebacker position, and I don't really understand why. Because if you just watch that Super Bowl with the Buccaneers versus the Chiefs, linebackers was dictating the pace, like through and through. And I feel like now we're in this new NFL where you need Swiss Army knives. You know what I'm saying? You need those linebackers and those safeties that can not only play play in the box, but also drop back in coverage and cover guys. Like I saw this one highlight with Micah Parsons. I'm not gonna hold you, man. He an athletic freak. I saw him in the slot, and he was drop back in the coverage and man to man. Like I'm like, yo, like, this boy crazy. But it's ridiculous. Like we definitely need linebacker edge. We could definitely fortify the offensive line. We need a safety. We could add some corner talent. I'm curious to see how Zach McPherson and Tay Gowan pan out. And I also wouldn't be mad if we drafted a quarterback maybe in like the 6th, 7th round. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to do it. Are we carrying 1 or 2 on the roster? We carrying 2 or 3. I mean, on the roster. We
got 3 on the roster right now. We got this kid. What's his name? This is a kid we brought up out of nowhere. His name is Reed Sinnett, something like that.
We might have to, man, because if somebody talking about a 4th round pick for Minshew, Howie is going to send Minshew off.
Because we sent what, a 6th round pick for him?
Exactly. Howie's going to send him off for a 4th.
And then he flipped Joe Flacco and got that 6th round pick right back. Exactly. It's crazy how Howie just be finding these ways to do stuff, man. And I'm always going to approach him with a grain of salt. The dude, he finds ways to make a move, and then he finds ways to, just have us looking crazy out here. But I feel like he learned his lesson giving out those bad contracts to guys like Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. I feel like he learned his lesson in that respect. I'm real curious to see how that stuff pan out. But. Yeah, my man. Like we cover so much, my guy, and
this was a goodie
for sure, man. And we definitely got to do it again because like the chemistry is definitely there. I was reading the live chat. Everybody liked the energy we got going. So we definitely got to connect more and more, my man. But
I'm all for it, bro. You already know. You got my number, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so and
it's crazy because you extended that to me. You didn't have to do that, and just from the beginning, you just been a real a real sturdy individual, bro. Like you've been real thorough throughout
I
the whole
appreciate that,
process.
man.
Giving me game, showing
Fresh to
love.
tell you, man. Anybody that got my number, man, that's really the only way you're gonna get a hold of me. If you want
No,
to
for
collab, you gotta have
no,
my
for
number.
real.
If you
I'm with
messaging me, I'm gonna.
you.
If you don't
I
have my
feel
number,
that.
if I can't see it on text and remind myself, you gonna just see me making because I'm kind of like a lone ranger, man. I make content by myself all the time. That's
Yeah.
just the way I started this, man. But collaborating with you guys, man, over the years, it's just been a beautiful thing, man. Because everybody share different opinions, and we get after it, man. We all one community, so you already know.
Yeah, and the dope thing about it is, we all talking about the same thing, right? But we
Mhm.
all giving our own flavor, our own energy, our own take on things, and it's just overall just a dope thing, man. Like I feel like I found a new family, a new community during this Eagles content game. You know what I'm saying? Like my first season doing it was, unfortunately, Carson Wentz's last season. You know what I'm saying? And it was really an interesting season to really get into the content game because I was really able to experience those highs and lows with with the fans and the team, man. We really was on that journey together. It was honestly just it still is an electric experience. You know what I'm saying? Like
last year honestly was my first low for real. Because when I started,
really?
when I
Oh yeah,
started,
you're right.
I started preseason of the Super Bowl season, and then we went to the playoffs again and knocked the Bears off. And then we went to the playoffs again, and Carson Wentz got knocked out. So, last year, was my first year on YouTube, having to make, content talking about, we need to make some changes. And you know what I mean? And listen, I've relished the opportunity, man. Hopefully this is a good year for everybody. You know what I mean? It's looking good to me.
Right. I feel you on that because it's like I said, anybody can get touched these days, man.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what Detroit did to the Cardinals. We saw what the Saints did to the Buccaneers. It's just this is the year of you got to bring your A game. This is not the year of we're going to rely just on our record and our talent. This is the season where your record means nothing to the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Guys is coming out thinking they can put hands and feet on any and everybody, and that's how the Eagles need to approach it. We got the New York Giants this week. Then after that, we got the Washington football team on the road. Then we got Dallas at home. So this next 3-game stretch is going to be important, not just for this city, not just for this organization, but going to be important for Jalen Hurts' development and potentially if he can be the guy going forward. And this is, it's really just that simple. But my man, I'm grateful for you coming on as always. Is any final words before we get out of here?
No, man, I appreciate y'all, man. More collabs to come with you, man. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna lock some more stuff in. I'm thinking about doing, a round table at the end. I'm definitely gonna hit you up for that. To definitely, get our seats and thoughts. Hopefully, it's a round table, a post playoff round table. You know what I mean? I'm gonna hit up Philly 500. I'm gonna hit you up. And probably Fresh Mike. I'm gonna do more than 4. I just want to sit back and let y'all talk. Listen to y'all. I want to do more than 4. I want to hear what y'all think about this playoff matchup, man. It's gonna be lit though, man. Rest of the season, we got a long road ahead of us, man. I can't wait.
For sure. And shout out to those guys too, man. Those guys show me mad love. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because 500, like, it's the day I passed 1,000 subs, right? It was draft weekend. And I was pretty much live streaming every day of the draft, talking about our picks and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was day 3. And I'm live streaming. I had about 10 people in there. We vibing, we talking, chopping it up. And all of a sudden, 10 turned to 15, 15 turned to 30, 30 turned to 40, 40 turned to 50, 50 turned to 60. I'm like, well, I started tapping my computer like something was broke. I'm like, what's going on? Was it a glitch? All of a sudden, people start dropping stuff in the live chat like, yo, Philly 500 sent us 500 raid, 500 raid, 500 raid. I'm like, yo, this shit is bananas. Like, so one of the people, one of the subscribers is like, hey, listen, yo, 500 sent us, man. Listen, why don't y'all live stream together, for the rest of the draft. I said, hey, listen, go tap in with him, see if he'll have me. I'm with it. So next thing you know, it was curtains from there, bro. I went from like 800 subs to like 1.2, 1.3K in like 24 hours. Like, it was crazy.
Philly 500 is the nicest person I ever met in my life, bro. No cap. I ain't gonna lie. He's the nicest person I ever met in my life. And I think our collaborations work so well because people don't think I'm nice. You know what I mean? But we all know Philly 500. If anybody ever asks Philly 500 about me, he gonna say the exact same thing. Like Philly 500 just see the good in people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I respect that. I respect that about him a whole lot.
yeah, yeah, for
That's my
sure,
dog.
man. Yeah, 500 that ball, man. I really appreciate 500, man. Just a genuine guy, man. Always on the show love, man. One of the most original content creators that I've ever had the pleasure of coming across, man. He just
Yeah.
give you so many different vibes, so many different energies. So, shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody that show love in the chat. You know what I normally do? I shout out everybody that pretty much was commenting and stuff. So shout out to my man Jeremiah Butler. Shout out to Big Red. Shout out to Reed 223. Shout out to Anthony Perry. Shout out to Nasty Love Hook. Shout out to my man Bergang 31, grinding, killing it right now. Shout out to who else we got in the building? Shout out to Rock the Artist. Shout out to Joseph Hudson with the $10 super chat. My man was legitimate with that one. Shout out to my man Philly Fresh, always been one of the first ones to show me love in this content game. Shout out to Ryan Rowe. Shout out to the Goat Michi. You know what I'm saying? Who else? Shout out to Jadis Young. Shout out to Nareen Manic. Shout out to Marley Colbert. Shout out to Noble King. Who else is in the building? Shout out to Nina Austin. Shout out to my man. Shout out to Judith Holmes. There was just so many of y'all, man. Shout out to David Pearson, man. Shout out to Ivan Mims. Just super grateful to you guys liking on the content per usual. And again, the content is nothing about you guys. Shout out to my man Laura Brunson once again for coming through. The dude is one of the more humble guys I've had the pleasure of working with. The dude just gives you energy, give you vibes, give you passion. And I just don't see how you can't rock with this guy, man. This dude is going to continue to give you just that raw energy, and he hold guys accountable. And my man just let guys have it. And at lunchtime with the bullies, man. So like I said, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe on his content. My man is legitimate, been grinding. Get my man. What is that? 20? What is that? Oh, he almost had 20K. Oh yeah, man. You gonna get what? Come on, like the energy is legendary. But make sure you guys lock in on him, like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you guys are new to my content as well, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the content. Hit that notification bell. We out here with it, man. LB, grateful to you, man. As I always say to you guys, I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports Philly. I was joined by my man Laura Brunson, and you guys were locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports Philly, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got charged to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And fly Eagles fly. And we out here, y'all. Peace out.